Hey guys, it's Chelsea from The Financial Diet, and today I am here with a very special guest, Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit and managing partner at Initialized Capital.
That's right.
Which is an investor in many startups, one of which is Empower, which is this very, very cool online banking app that will let you save on your bills and rack up points and just live better with money. So it's definitely something you guys should check out. But he's also, therefore, very interested in talking about money these days, which is, as you guys know, my favorite topic. So I thought I would do something that you guys love, which is our 6 awkward money questions.
All right.
With Alexis Ohanian.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What was the worst money you ever spent in the name of romance?
Okay, well that is not a single dime spent on my now wife in the name of romance, because all of that was well invested. There were previous relationships though where I definitely misspent. I was a little too earnest and a little too naive when I was younger, and like there were definitely bouquets of flowers that I bought on first dates that like I really didn't need to buy, that were just in hindsight like too much. Just a little over, like right idea, just way too overboard. Like not
bringing
necessary.
flowers to a date should be illegal, particularly
Especially
the first
a first date.
Yeah, and then that lady stuck carrying around
It's
flowers
worse,
all night.
and it's worse, and a blind date, and so it's
What
just
happened
like
to a blind-
I have no. Thank you for laughing at me. Yes, no, I had no context for this person whatsoever, but I just like I wanted to impress her. Like I'd heard really good things, so naturally I will bring some flowers. So very stupid.
That's like bringing someone a balloon animal on a first date. You just have to carry it around with you everywhere you go.
I should have brought a balloon animal. I should have learned how to make a balloon animal, because at least then there would have been a gesture of well, I guess it'd still be lame. No, it'd still be a bad move. So don't do that on first date.
What is a misguided purchase you've made to become a better person?
The first thing that came to mind, which is totally unfair, but the first thing that came to mind was my Peloton. Because
The bike thing?
Yes. But it's unfair because it is a stationary bike, so by definition I can't travel with it. And it was misguided because I got it for my SF home, and where I'm just rarely ever there, and so it spends more time doing nothing, and yet every month I get the fee, and I just remind myself like, oh right, why did I get this stationary bike that I can't take with me anywhere? Meanwhile, like I get myself a TRX, which is this really basic, just ropes that you can throw over a door hinge and like do strength, like weight training anywhere. That I'll use all the time because it is mobile. I can shove it into a bag. It was a way better ROI for my health and well-being, and it was making the mistake of being seduced by an amazing experience, but one that is totally impractical for someone who travels as much as I do. And then I look at these like this hunk of rope basically, and I'm like, this has been way more valuable for me. The ROI has been way greater than the damn Peloton. But
I feel like at Peloton headquarters, they have like a little framed picture of you as like the number one person they have in their mind when they're like packaging these things, because it is definitely geared towards startup guys who will never use them.
I mean, I
think that's their entire business model.
It has been effective. I also personally don't care for cardio. Like I'm all in on weight training, and so I just thought, okay, this is the time. I'm finally gonna get in. It's gonna work. Cardio's gonna stick. But yeah, it's still there in SF, and they know how often I've used it because they've noticed that
and
I
now
logged
you're
in
too
like
ashamed.
10 times out of a year, and it's like clearly not getting the ROI off of it. So you can actually do a full set of great exercises, literally just using your body as the only weight. And it is such a valuable, like if you want to start, well, I really deeply believe in health and wellness, and I wish I invested in it way earlier in my life, and certainly in my working career. But you can actually live a very fit, healthy life, not having spent a dime on exercise equipment, just doing these bodyweight exercises.
That is extremely my wheelhouse. I'm a big Pilates person, and specifically mat Pilates. I do the machine, the reformer sometimes, but it's too expensive to do that much. And the mat is literally your body and you.
There you go.
On a yoga mat. So, and it's a workout. Out of curiosity, I imagine it must be funny to be married to like essentially the greatest athlete and not use your Peloton more than 10 times a year. Is there never a moment of like, you gonna get on that Peloton or what?
I take solace in knowing that she hates cardio, I think even more than I do.
Is that true?
Yeah, but like I said, I don't use the Peloton. I just do all my workouts using
But you're not going to
TRX
stop
or-
paying for it, is the real question?
No, I'm still not going to. That's dumb. I really should cancel that subscription, shouldn't I?
That is 100% their business model.
I wonder, I bet if I opened Empower right now, the app would tell me you need to cancel that Peloton subscription. We know you're not using an Alexis. Click here to shut it off instantly.
So what is a guilty pleasure that you spend money on even though you know you shouldn't?
Shoes. Probably sneakers. It's not the reason we invested in GOAT, but I spent a lot of time on that app. It's a sneaker marketplace. So for buying new and used, like fairly exclusive, rare sneakers. And so I spend money there that I shouldn't. But I've tried to be really strategic with it. And so I tie purchases to like some kind of life event. And so, like, these are the shoes that I got myself when I was coming back from parental leave. Because I was like, okay, I'll always remember, like, these are the shoes I got. Because I was like, all right, transitioning back to the day-to-day work.
I have to say, as someone who knows literally nothing about sneakers, I can just say, it seems like they're just getting weirder looking.
Well, especially right now. Now is you're spot on. The trend right now are these ugly dad sneakers.
Yeah, they look like
really
the Kirkland
bulky
signature
and
ones.
chunky. Yeah, but that's the trend. It will phase out. For sure.
Do you have some of those?
I don't, because I still have like self-respect, and I don't.
And you
wanna
are
be-
a dad.
I am a dad,
You
and
don't wanna
maybe
wear
it's
the
just too
ironic
obvious. But I
shoes.
can't wear. I just haven't seen any pair that I like enough to want to get. But sneakers are definitely the guilty pleasure spending thing.
What is something you are really cheap about, even though you know you should be spending more on it?
A lot of basics in terms of clothing. I will try to get literally whatever the cheapest undershirts, socks, underwear, that kind of thing. There's a ton of food staples that I just can't imagine having in large and fairly cheap quantities.
You get the bag cereal?
Like beans. Okay, so beans. All right, I'm basically plant-based these days, and so I need protein. And beans are an incredibly efficient way to get protein, and you can buy them in bulk. You got to do a little work to prep them, but like there's some of these things that I just can't really unsee. It's a bunch of weird stuff like that.
I feel like unused Peloton, plant-based / quasi-gluten-free, like we're checking a lot of
Am I
the
hitting all
startup guy
boxes?
boxes.
Okay, great.
The sneakers.
Yeah. Guilty.
Okay.
I'm a walking cliche.
You wear a t-shirt to work a lot?
Yeah, usually.
So what is something that people with money know that people without money don't?
I mean, I'm still learning stuff. It's weird. I thought I would be handed like a book when
you
it
got
happened.
rich?
Yeah, I was assuming someone was going to show up and be like, "Good day, sir. Congratulations. Here it is." And it'll be like the book of shit only rich people know. And I never got this, and I still am learning things, and it's amazing. I know I'm going to continue to be learning stuff, and I'll just continue to just scratch my head and wonder, like, how is it possible this whole other world exists? One of the most frightening ones was learning about access to healthcare and quality of healthcare. Growing up, I just assumed, I was raised with the assumption that, of course, anyone who goes to medical school and becomes a doctor has to be really smart, really hardworking, and that's mostly true. But the natural extension of that, though, is that, all hospitals are basically the same, all healthcare is basically the same, like, there isn't that big of a difference, and you just go to the hospital that's near you, and that's just what we always did. And only in recent years, as I've had to encounter some of this stuff for loved ones, and have I had people who have obscene wealth, even relative to my own, like very wealthy and sort of old money wealth, have I learned that like, oh no, there's a whole other world, from concierge medicine and private medicine to very different tiers of hospitals and quality of care. And I literally never even heard of these before, let alone walked in them or seen them. And now that I have, it's jarring.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to have not needed really any significant healthcare at all in my life, knock on wood, aside from like breaking a leg from wrestling in high school. Like, never had any issues whatsoever. But seeing loved ones go through it and seeing the sort of different levels of quality of care and ability of doctors is jarring. And I think that's one of the things that if we all as a public really understood the difference, I think folks would be even more upset than they already are about the inequality of healthcare in this country, because it is staggering, the difference. And I know in 10 years, someone else is going to reveal the curtain and be like, oh, actually, there's a whole nother level of care where we're all using the blood of young, healthy teens to live forever.
That's not a joke.
And
They're already, I think Peter Thiel literally does that.
Supposedly that's a thing. I have no evidence to that, or to the contrary. But I just feel like at some point,
after us, guns blazing.
I feel like at some point we're gonna have that other veil lifted, and I'm just gonna be even more shocked. But that is something that really shook me, because it really made me rethink the care that loved ones of mine got 10, 20 years ago because we didn't have access to it, one, financially, but we didn't even know about it. And now, obviously, this is a priority for me as a husband and as a father. Like, obviously, I want the very best that I can get, and I know my wife and daughter are going to have access to things that we never could have dreamed of. But I didn't think it was that different. But it turns out it is. It really is.
And it's interesting because a lot of people, when they are afraid of socialized medicine, which is such a silly thing to be afraid of, but I lived in a country with socialized medicine for several years, and one of the fun things that you realize when you live there is that the overall standards for everyone are much better and much more egalitarian, and you don't pay for it. But rich people still have their fancy medicine. Like, they still have their boutique hospitals and their boutique clinics, and they, like, a lot of the stuff, like, cosmetic stuff is out of pocket, but also, like, a lot of them will, like, go to other countries to get stuff done, and half of it is because they just don't want to be in crowded rooms with other people. Like, and so rich people, you will always have your fancy medicine.
We will always figure it out, and that is the challenge. You're totally right, is that how do we bring the standard of care up to a level that would make us proud as Americans? And now, having really seen the sort of the disparity firsthand, and I don't even fully understand or appreciate the other, like, lowest ends of it when you're bankrupted by an ambulance trip.
Yeah. Actually, quickly related to rich people medical secrets. Okay. Do you guys get full body scans every 6? Is that a thing that rich people do?
I don't. God, I probably should. I mean, I get the routine blood work that I feel like most people do.
But you're not getting, like, so I imagine that really rich people, like, every 6 months go into a tube that just, like, scans their whole body.
No. There are a couple of startups in the Valley that are doing a version of this, but I have not participated.
So the last question is, what is something that 2018 Alexis is doing with money that 2008 Alexis would have never thought possible, but I actually think you were already rich at that time, so.
How about 2005 Alexis?
There you go. Just pre-rich Alexis.
Like, even just the fact that, I have a private car service, I have a food delivery service for anything, right, from Uber and Lyft to Postmates. Like, even just that mentally is a mind job for me. And then obviously the advantage of wealth is that I don't really have to think twice. If I want to make sure to bring home food for my wife tonight, like, I can actually have an app take care of that, so that as I'm heading home in a Lyft that I've also magically summoned for me, there's a simultaneous courier dropping off some kind of food at the same time I'll get there. I mean, that to me feels like magic, and even I think 2005 Alexis, knowing that he could do that and not be able to even just sort of really think about it, seems like pure wizardry.
So obviously, specifically post your nuptials, you are doing a lot of fancy events. And one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of those events, and not for everyone, most of the stuff that celebrities are wearing is free, is often gifted, loaned, etc. May not be your case in each event, but that is something that I did not know, even at the complete lowest possible end of public figuredom. You will be shocked at how much, the more you could afford to buy things, the more things are given to you for free.
So yeah, I mean, I get gifted a lot of clothes now, really, really nice clothes that I never would have worn or had back then, that are custom tailored for me and all this, and it's a little insane. But then this also works too financially. You get access to different levels of banking and financial products. I remember the canonical problem is you can never get a bank to loan you money when you really need it, and then once you don't, they're more than happy to. And I realized, I realized why that happens intellectually, but from a practical standpoint, like, I know they're trying to evaluate risk, but like, I'm the same person I was before.
Right.
And the tragedy of the system is that, normally you get access to more of these things and features and whatnot, the wealthier you are and the less you need them. And so that concierge banking experience, all of those things where a bank might normally try to nickel and dime you, they don't. I get free wire transfers. I get someone instantly who will call me to deal with whatever is happening at any moment, and they're a live human and they know me by name and they've worked with me before. Now, Empower, to their credit, is using software to recreate a lot of this for everyone. But there is definitely still a next level to the financial world that you just get access to once you have a certain amount of wealth that I just never even believed. And so the same way that the difference in access to medicine makes my head spin, the difference in access to financial products is along the same lines. And it's subtle. I mean, these are very subtle things, but they add up a lot. especially when you think about the implications that has on the rest of the country and the rest of the world.
I can't remember where I read it, but I won't take credit for it. Someone once referred to wealth as like the lubricant of life. Like the more you have of it, everything is just smoother, everything functions better, everything is like more intuitive. You can just make decisions based on needs and desires and not have to weigh options. Like everything is just, it's like what is it, WD-40?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There you go.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. No,
and the more you have it, the more people want to give you. But there you have it. So the 6 awkward money questions with Alexis. Obviously, check him out on all of his various internet platforms. We'll link you. And also, most importantly, check out Empower, which we'll also link you to in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. And do not forget to hit the subscribe button and to come back every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for new and awesome videos. Bye.
Thanks.